Last week, we went on a family vacation to Cancun, Mexico, where we did a lot of snorkeling. First, we snorkeled at XelHa, a water park which was very family friendly. Then we went on a catamaran ride to Isla Mujeres. Then we snorkeled in Playa del Carmen. My son and I also did a scuba dive out of Cancun on a boat where there was people snorkeling, so we got to see a little their snorkeling from our perspective. For me, the best snorkeling was by far with coconut divers in the Playa del Carmen. This is in part because we didn't have to wear life vests. This was just me and Raleigh. The water was great. What we saw on a reef was awesome. It wasn't very deep, so we were able to dive down and see the fish, and the amount of life, it was excellent. I highly recommend, if you're going to go snorkeling and you want to have the best experience, go with a dive company, a scuba dive company. Manta Divers out of Cancun offered to take people snorkeling and scuba diving on the same trip. One bit of advice is bring your own snorkel gear. Even on the scuba dive boat where they provided the gear, one of the young boys who was snorkeling with us, his mask, the skirt had a crack in it, so his mask was leaking, and I don't think he was really able to use a mask the entire time we were out there. And there wasn't really any way to turn around and go back, not even just to the boat once we were in the water. When I went with coconut divers in Playa del Carmen, they told us we'd be in the water for an hour swimming around, and life vests were optional. It was so easy. Being buoyant in the water was no issue at all, even with no life vest. One of the best things about this was that it was the most affordable option at only $50 per person, compared to XelHa being $125 a person, and the catamaran being, I think it was around $75 or $85 a person US. This trip was only an hour and a half, so for amount of time, it was the shortest amount of time, but it was the most action-packed with just the most snorkeling. At XelHa, they provided these snorkel masks, which are the kind that cover your whole face, and they don't have a snorkel you put in your mouth, and everybody hated those.
There's tide. I mean, not tide, there's current.
I spent a lot of time exchanging, returning, and ending up towing everybody around that wasn't wearing any snorkel gear at all. One thing to know about the mask, if you go into XelHa, is if you go to the lazy river, they have another snorkel station there where they'll give you a regular mask and a real snorkel, and it's way better to start up there with that equipment. But I would still recommend bringing your own mask, snorkel, and even some no fog spray for your mask. XelHa was much more of an all-around water park experience with the lazy river, cliff jumping, ropes, and so much more. We didn't get to do so much more that the park offered, including other activities which you do have to pay extra for. They had SCUBA and underwater masks things, and they had scooters that you can ride in the water. One thing I take for granted being from the Pacific Northwest is that on summer days we have daylight hours that go till 10 o'clock at night, and here we had to leave at 6 o'clock is when our bus closed down, and I'm pretty sure the whole park was closing down at that time. XelHa was very family friendly, and it was the only place that everyone got to go in the water, including my nephew RJ, who's 3 years old. ain't doing much. You sure you can't touch the rope?
Oh, that would have been such a good strategy. I'm gonna do that. Man, you know what? Screw this. I'm too tired anyway.
Okay, Jay. The booze cruise was just outside of Cancun, and the water was very clear, but there wasn't a lot of life to see. The thing that was a little bit disappointing was it was only 10 minutes worth of snorkeling. And also, they had a lot of warnings and really kind of intimidated people like my wife, and saying that, you know, you have to be able to swim 500 meters kind of made it sound a little bit scary, and actually convinced her to not get in the water. Part of the fun of this was that it was more than just a snorkel ride. In fact, being only 10 minutes, the majority of it was something other than the snorkel ride. There was a lot of a boat ride on a slow catamaran, and then they left you on the island to explore for a kind of a 2-hour break, and then they took you to a place for a good lunch. And did I mention it was all you can drink? I also tried to do a little snorkeling just outside of the hotel where we were at Tres Rios, which is near Playa del Carmen, and the beach there was not very nice at all. I tried metal detecting out in this river where the water was a little clearer, and then at the beach it was not clear at all. In fact, the water clarity made me grateful for what we have in the Puget Sound. This was our last day in Mexico before leaving the next day, and the rains from Hurricane Ian were hitting us. Even though we really didn't get hit with any winds, the rain coming down was definitely monsoon-like.